First time here on Human Events Daily, although I've been on his show a number of times. It's Stephen Gardner, the host of the Stephen Gardner Show. What's up, man?
Hey, Jack, good to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you have done some fantastic investigative work on the story of what happened to my good friend, your friend, Charlie Kirk. You actually went to Utah Valley University campus and you did a lot of gumshoe on the ground reporting there in Utah of what happened to Charlie. You took a lot of the a lot of the different theories and alternate theories out there, and you really put them to the test. And I think you did a fantastic video that I want everyone to go watch. And before we get into it, I've got a clip of it that I want to play for everyone right now.
I'm here at the spot where Tyler Robinson jumps off the roof. I'm here with Gray Hughes Investigates. Yep. And he's got this camera that is on a big telescope rod.
Yeah, it's extension.
And when you put it up there, what did you see?
Well, when you put it up right where he came down, there's actually 4 fingerprints that drag off, and then another spot where maybe there's a towel or something like what, I don't know what else was there. Maybe his foot was still up there, and then another mark as well. So there's 3 marks in a really thick dust.
And it's still there.
Still there.
Okay.
I don't know a reason why they would actually get rid of it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to wipe it away, right?
Yeah.
It's strange though.
That is strange. Yeah. And then I've got Gary right here from Paramount Tactical. He's just showing his audience the video where they say it's an AI person. I said it's not AI. The path drops off over there.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Stephen, you're out there, you're looking into all this. These marks on the roof, what are they consistent with? Tell us exactly how you think that fits into the context of what we know and what we've been told about Charlie's murder.
Absolutely. So I've been very skeptical with everything that's happened with the FBI. So I'm just trying to use my own brain, my own journalism skills to go and look for cameras, look for evidence, clues, to try to back up the narrative that we're being told, but also to make sure that I can hold them accountable with truth. What it looks like is everyone's seen the famous FBI footage where Tyler Robinson is running across the Losi building towards the north, and then he gets down on his legs and he's kind of holding onto the roof, and then he jumps off, and then he heads off into the wooded area. Well, while I was there looking at how to get on the roof, the time it would take, what cameras would have captured stuff, I was speaking with another investigative journalist, and what you see is when he gets down and he's getting ready to jump off the building, you can see scrapes in the dust that are about 36 to 40 inches long, which is about the length of the barrel of a 30-06 rifle. You also see a handprint where he's trying to let himself down gradually, and then he ends up jumping off and running into that wooded area. So although I want to trust the FBI and I believe in Kash Patel, the American people were skeptical with, government lies and cover up. I mean, look at January 6th. It took almost 5 years to find out that there was over 270 FBI agents in plain clothes in the crowd. So I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. I want to make sure that if Tyler Robinson is in fact the person that jumped off that roof, that this handprint that they say they have, the screwdriver, the gun, the bullet, all of that matches up, because Charlie Kirk deserves justice and the American people deserve the truth.
Well, and so I want to make sure that we're tying this together. So that handprint that is on that roof, does that line up that you guys uncovered with that? That he's using that stick camera? Does that line up with the video from where we see the individual that they've identified as Tyler Robinson?
Yes, and we know that for 2 reasons. The first time I went out, 2 weeks after Charlie had passed, the FBI actually had a yellow measuring tape that was taped to the cement wall of the Losi building. And I believe that they were measuring the hand to the last bit of that. You can also tell there's a split in the window pane just below this frame when you see him jump off. And you can see that it lines up exactly with where he comes off the building. The other thing you'll notice, Jack, is see that dust? There's no other markings on there. The only place that there were markings up and down all of that guttering system is right where Tyler Robinson jumped off. So when I saw this, I was like, wow, okay, that is a huge piece of evidence. And we were told in the paperwork that was submitted for the legal briefing that they have a palm print, that they have fingerprints on a screwdriver. They're going to have the gun. So then what I started doing, I started working with forensic experts to understand ballistics, to understand how they would use X-rays to follow the path of the bullet through Charlie's body, where the bullet was found, how they found the fragments. I'm not an expert in all of this, but I'm really good at asking questions, and I wanted to bring that truth to my audience.
Well, and I think this is important too, because look, you know, I want to make sure they got the right guy. And if they got the right guy, I want to make sure that this trial goes forward and everything's done by the book and everything's done properly. And you know, I've been hosting this show as well as others with, in fact, people like my friend Blake Neff, who was standing just a few feet away from where Charlie was sitting. So in the line of fire of this individual, right where you were, on, you know, obviously underneath that roof. And, you know, this all has to be done by the book. And that's something that we absolutely all want. Now, there was another piece of information that you mentioned in your video. That was the sound rings that you were digging into. What was the sound rings?
I found another YouTuber who does sound and noise analysis. I can't remember his last name. I believe his first name is Matt. But basically what he did is he took different people's cell phones and the noise, and he was able to create a map. And then the map, when you start running it through AI and different software, it'll start using mathematical formulas to pinpoint where the noise came from. And there were 3 big rings that went out, and wouldn't you know it, all 3, the only time that they cross over is right on the Losi building, where we know somebody was laying in a prone position with a rifle and took a shot. Now, from everything that I have seen, it looks like it's the story that the FBI is telling us. So the sound is matching up, the direction of the bullet. Sadly, Charlie Kirk takes a tremendous amount of energy from the front. That bullet, destroys his neck, gets lodged in his T1 thoracic vertebrae. But you start lining that up. Now, a couple of big things that were pointed out to me, and I started to pick up on this, and it was nice to have a forensic expert confirm this, but he said to me, next to the gun and the bullet, the most important piece of evidence against Tyler Robinson will be his cell phone data. Cell phones are able to track you to within a couple of inches of where you are. And we learned
this from January 6th. That was the geofencing.
Yes.
We're coming up on a quick break, Stephen.
The Fed has finally dropped interest rates, and that's great news for American homeowners. Expenses have been a major burden on families. Wages are flat, prices keep climbing, and for many, the only way to make ends meet is to lean on credit cards. But that cycle of high interest debt makes it hard to stay ahead. If you're a homeowner, I want you to call my friends at American Financing. Right now, interest rates have dropped, and many homeowners are seeing options in the low 5s. Compare that to credit cards charging rates in the 20s or higher. There is an easy path to see how you can finally put your hard-earned equity to work for you. American Financing can help you pay off that expensive debt, free up your cash flow, and keep your budget under control. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving customers on average $800 a month. And if you get started today, you might be able to delay the next mortgage payment. Take control. Call American Financing today at 888 888-686-8030 or visit americanfinancing.net/Gardner. Again, that's 888-686-8030.
Stephen, where we left off before the break, you were telling us, though, about the cell phone tracking, that forensic cell phone tracking, geofencing data. We know the same exact method of tracking individuals was used in January 6th. They were tracking, did someone go onto the steps? Did they go in? Were they on the lawn? Where were they exactly? And we know that investigators using cell phone data can do this. What did you find regarding that data in this case?
So we're going to know with great clarity whether Tyler Robinson was in the Orem area, whether the text messages that many of us have questions about, whether those were sent from Orem to Lance Twigg. Was Lance Twigg in southern Utah, or was he also in Orem? All of that is going to come out. But the main thing is people are saying, okay, how would he have known based on this weird terrain, not being a student at this school? How would he have known this? Because I don't believe you could have planned this murder from Google Maps. So they're going to know based on his cell phone pathway whether he went on the day before, a couple of weeks before. They'll be able to track all of that. Now, I was told from a forensic expert, Joseph Scott, that they're going to be able to track him from 800 Street down through the tunnel, up around the Losi building, up the stairs, onto the roof, from the roof out to the roof line, take the shot, jump off the Losi building, run into the woods. And then I started seeing all of these conspiracy videos that they were able to find him on a little cafe's security system. You can barely see his car, but you can see it. And you had all these conspiracy people saying, how does a guy kill Charlie Kirk and 20 minutes later he's in his car in a parking lot? That's not consistent with what a murderer would do. Well, you don't know how a murderer thinks, right? He might be sitting in that car amped up on adrenaline. But how did the cafe owner know that he was caught on his security camera? Because unless somebody breaks in, you don't just go review, 24 hours worth of video footage. It's because the FBI tracked him to that location. The next morning, 7:15 a.m., Cedar City Maverick gas station. How do they know it's him? He swipes a credit card and they follow his phone. They know when he goes home. They know if he goes to visit Lance, when he goes over to his parents. They've got all of it, the phone calls, the texting, everything. So this forensic expert, Joseph Scott Morgan, he shared with me that next to the gun, the cell phone data is going to be the thing that ties Tyler Robinson directly to the person on that building. And right now, there's a lot of doubt. Oh, I don't know if I can trust the FBI. Well, that geo-tracking, that geofencing, it's going to tell us where his phone was at all times on that day.
Now, there's another piece of this that you mentioned when you were there, and it had to do with the sort of the depth and the scope of the area, the amphitheater where the building is. You were saying that you mentioned Google Maps a second ago, and that's what made me think of this. You said that where Charlie was sitting was actually much deeper than you realized, and the relative height from where Charlie was to the top of the Losi building was a bit higher. Walk us through what you discovered.
So the video footage that you guys showed with me and Gary from Paramount Tactical, below us is the Hall of Flags. That's where the first cell phone picked up Tyler Robinson running off the roof. Then below that is where Charlie Kirk was sitting in a pop-up tent, right? So that
Right.
is an amphitheater that goes up, and then the Losi building where he shoots from is 3 stories higher than that. So he's actually about 4 stories different, maybe 4.5 stories different. And so that bullet is coming down at an angle. He's also off to the side about 10 degrees. So that bullet is coming in from high to low and from the side, where it ends up crashing into his neck. So yes, right here you can see, Gary, right below us is the Hall of Flags where somebody's cell phone catches Tyler Robinson running off the roof. But until you go to the actual campus, you don't really understand, because this particular campus, from an aerial point of view on Google Maps, they have these like red square sidewalks, and they all seem like they're on the same level, but some of them might be 2 stories up, some of them might be 2 stories down. And so that really threw me. The first time I went out, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I've been covering this story. I didn't really understand the elevation climb. I didn't understand the topography of the campus. And so, sadly, right where he takes the shot is the very best place to take a shot. You're up and away. You've got a clear line of sight to Charlie Kirk. You've got coverage by the cafeteria building in front of it. And he takes the shot and then runs for his life. But that really threw me. The other thing, when you start looking at the sound analysis, he's shooting down into a bowl. That's why you're picking up echoes. So some people that aren't as sophisticated in their forensic, they say, oh, there was probably 2 shots. Well, no, it's coming down into this amphitheater bowl. It's picking up an echo. It's also passing through the microphone system there. So when you really clean up all of the audio, it's 1 shot, then the supersonic boom, and then boom, it hits. And they were able to show all of that.
So those rings are coming from the initial sound wave, the sound propagation, but then you also have the secondary and tertiary waves that are hitting off of those other buildings into the bowl of the amphitheater. And you can even see it on this video that you put together from that angle. It's a very small, very confined space. In fact, I remember going to, when I did my Butler investigation, and visited, and I've been to Butler multiple times now, and looked at the site where President Trump had his assassination attempt. You realize it's so much smaller than it just looks on camera. It's so much smaller. I mean, you could run the distance in just a couple of seconds. It's a quick sprint, would get you from one side to another. And there's sometimes just videos in Google Map and satellites, and I know that a lot of investigators and researchers go off of that. But when you physically go there for yourself, you see how those angles can play tricks on you, and it's much smaller. By the way, I just wanted to throw out before we run out of time here that what you mentioned about the cell phone tracking data, that reminds me a lot of the Brian Kohberger case, where and he killed those sorority girls. But that was a key piece of the evidence, because they find his fingerprint on the knife sheath, and then what do they have? They have his cell phone data going back and forth past that house, casing it before he went in, getting the pattern of life. Stephen, we are just about out of time. Thank you so much for doing this. I hope you continue. Tell everyone where to go to get your video and access to everything you're putting out.
If you look up Stephen Gardner on YouTube, you will see this face, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on.
Stephen Gardner on YouTube. Yes, you will see that face.